America's middle class is shrinking, feeling the squeeze of reduced buying power and growing financial disparity. What defines the middle class depends on where you live, how much money you make, and the size of your family. Downward pressure on America's middle class is not new, but the recession sped up the process dramatically, leaving more people with fewer job prospects and lives focused on economic survival.
Is America's middle class disappearing? Numerous studies confirm the middle class is being shoved downward because of job losses, no college education, advances in technology, tax structure, and today's economic climate. Michael Pollack grew up in New York. He now lives in Oklahoma, a move he made to find work after the recession hit.
I came to Oklahoma about 3.5 years ago because I did roofing and construction back in New York, and with the recession and out of the business, even my godfather, the one who I worked with, he couldn't hire me back on because no one had any money getting jobs.
Mike is now the manager of a buy-for-less grocery store, a job that pays him about what he was making nearly 4 years ago.
I definitely did feel some squeeze. Hell, I moved 1,200 miles just to make sure I wasn't feeling squeezed as much.
For Ashley, getting a start in life after graduating from high school has been difficult.
For us, we've got 6 people living in a house, so paychecks they get tight, especially because I just lost my job. So it's my dad trying to support 6 people, basically. So sometimes it feels like middle class, sometimes it feels like we're a little bit under.
According to a study released this year by the nonpartisan Congressional Research Service, the rise in capital gains and dividends going to those in the top 1% in income contributes more to the rise of income inequality than everything else put together.
We are no longer a society where you're going to likely see people move into the higher class or come from the higher to the lower. So that mobility issue has changed. We're getting more and more rigid. It's a little easier to go down, and a lot of that's associated with skill sets.
Jonathan Wilner is a professor of economics at Oklahoma City University. He says Oklahoma has been somewhat insulated from what is known as the consumer hourglass theory, developed by Citibank. The hourglass theory is the basis of a new corporate strategy of marketing to high and low-income earners while ignoring the squeezed middle class. Oklahoma has been insulated because the 2 primary economic drivers for the state are energy and agriculture, jobs that are mostly based on physical labor. Professor Wilner says that's what has kept the middle class going for so long, something that is now coming to an end.
It's largely about intellectual mobility as opposed to physical ability. This is the first generation in history where single women with a college education and no children between the ages of 22 and 29 actually earn more than similar men.
Joe Meinhardt is an associate professor of sociology and justice studies at Oklahoma City University. He says the middle class has shrunk by 7% over the last decade.
It affects family activities, family commitments, and it affects health issues. In the last 20 years, with the moving down the scale in the middle class, women's mortality, the actual life expectancy has declined by 6 years.
Meinhardt says that results in a riskier life and social stratification,
where you'll have a handful of very wealthy people at the top and a large number of poor people and lower middle class, but not a very strong upper middle class or solid middle class.
And that creates a 2-tiered society. Meinhardt says when that happens, the upper class distances themselves from the rest of society. That's already happening in Oklahoma, as confirmed in a study by Brown University on residential movements in the upper class.
They studied about 90 cities and found 14 cities where the move toward privatized neighborhoods was significant. And Oklahoma City is actually one of those 14 cities that has seen a huge shift toward this social and economic polarization.
Don Peck is author of an article in the Atlantic magazine titled, "Can the Middle Class Be Saved?" He's also written the book Pinched. Peck told the PBS NewsHour he senses a troubling societal undercurrent.
There's something more worrying going on for people who don't have a college degree, whose skills have been devalued by globalization and even more so by the encroachment of technology. And I think as a society, we need to recognize that many of the people who are falling out of the non-professional middle class without help are not likely to regain it.
Professor Meinhardt says if the nation continues on its current socioeconomic path, the end result will not be good.
Then we create a whole lot of opportunity for social conflict and unrest, which is not good for anybody. So it's, even if you look at this from the standpoint of self-interest, it doesn't make sense to continue down the road that we're on right now.
To reverse this trend, both professors agree Oklahoma needs a cultural shift towards an increased commitment to education.
I see students all the time. I don't need math, I don't need science. This is true. McDonald's is always hiring. We can test kids and blame teachers all day long. If the parents and the society don't insist on a knowledgeable student body, it's not going to happen. That means you have to tutor your kids. You have to take them seriously. It's not the school's sole responsibility. It's the parents' job.
We need to have a conversation in Oklahoma and really across the country in terms of what it means to care for the common good, what it means to build a society that works for everybody instead of a few.
In Oklahoma, the middle class is generally described as having yearly incomes ranging from $25,000 to $85,000. Veronica believes she is still part of the middle class, a feeling based on many years of very hard work at the same job.
I get here at 10 in the morning and I leave about 15 to 10 in the night. And I do that 4 days a week. I've been here at this store like 20 years, going on 21. Yeah, and I love my job, and I love the customers.
For Ashley and an increasing number of Oklahomans, defining life in the middle class is measured a different way.
As long as you get by, as long as you last another week, it's a win. It really is, for me anyway.
As the middle class shrinks and the impoverished class grows, then what people are going to be moving from thinking in terms of abundance to thinking in terms of survival.
Research consistently points to improved education as the best way to reverse the middle class decline, education that creates a skilled, modern workforce and expands community discussion on the problems and the future of the evolving middle class.